The deal by Saudi-backed LIV Golf to merge with the PGA Tour is the latest in a series of major investments by Saudi Arabia across sports and entertainment. Joining us live is Hans Westerbeek, Professor of International Sport Business at Victoria University. Hans, thank you for your time. We really appreciate it. Most of us have heard of greenwashing, but tell us a bit more about sports washing. What is the extent of sports washing by Saudi Arabia in particular, and what's the goal here?
Yeah, sports washing stands for using sport events, sport athletes or clubs or competitions to kind of shy away or hide the fact that there's something wrong in the way that people are treated in a country by certain powerful people, or indeed violating human rights, which very much has been at the forefront of this particular case of Saudi Arabia in particular, investing in sport. And in many ways, it's no different to what in a commercial sense would be a sponsorship deal, but the purpose here is much wider and further, if you like, than a commercial deal where an organization sponsors a sport to be commercially attractive. In this case, it is about washing away perceptions of human rights abuse.
And it is really commercially attractive, isn't it, in terms of the amount of money that's being spent? I mean, what levels are we talking about in terms of the cash being thrown at some of these organisations?
Yeah, no, I think the very case here is that we are talking about a nation and powerful people who have access to vast amounts of money, and we're talking billions. Only even spent on athletes, on the golf professionals in particular, to bring them over to the side, in this case of the LIV organization. But that was only done in the realization that if you own or at least control the talent, you occupy a very powerful position in what I believe has been the long game for them all the time, or all the way. In that if you own the talent, you then at the negotiation table have a very strong position to basically buy further influence in a sport that obviously attracts an audience of billions. And that's the whole point here. The platform of sport offers, in this case, the Saudi Arabian government and their sovereign wealth fund, a platform that ties people's perceptions about them to the positive, overridingly positive emotions and passion that people have for sport and the game that they follow passionately.
So what do you think the answer is here, Hans? I mean, you can see how difficult it would be for organisations to turn down, in some cases, billions of dollars being fed into them when we know that this is such a competitive arena for funding. In the PGA instance, I mean, they're going into this deal with their eyes wide open, aren't they, about those risks?
They do. And, money makes the world go around. And I think this is just another example of how powerful the underpinning economics to deals like this are. Sport is a business like any other business. The only difference is that it's probably the most global platform for passion communication as well, and that is why sport is such a powerful tool for individual wealthy entrepreneurs or power brokers, for organizations, and in this case for the whole of government to position themselves in a more positive frame of mind than what they would deserve in terms of their particular behavior, in particular ethical stance and behavior of their actions.
Some of our viewers might not feel too much sympathy for sports stars who are being paid millions and millions of dollars, but when organisations enter into these sorts of deals, it can put those individual players, the talent as you refer to them, in an awkward position.
And it's, I think there's no better case in recent history than this particular case, where the top players were basically in opposing positions, in particular those who took a moral stance and said, we are not going to be part of this. We buy into the history of our sport and are loyal to the organizations that have promoted and put our sport on display for for decades, if not centuries, basically now saying, well, what's happening? You've gone to the other side. We've left, in some cases, hundreds of millions of dollars on the table that, you know, our colleagues who decided to go with LIV have pocketed. And now suddenly we are to be, you know, merging together in a happy marriage with those who have suddenly become almost multi-billionaires rather than multi-millionaires.
Yeah, they're pretty dark about it, no doubt about that. Professor, I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.